futures trading at a reduced cost.
But we are genuinely going to talk about something today, or start talking about something today, which is still not understood. And it's going to be confusing for you.
Without the environment, you can't separate a particle. Without a particle, you use a particle to determine the inverse shadow problem of the environment. That means to say, in a group, there's an algebra, a line. A to B, 0 to 1, that's the electron. Those are all types of their own groups of passing something through one of those sciences like that. And whether you did or you didn't. Now, I can't quantify its totally omega limit inside of here based on what this does, but you could use this class as that. And perhaps maybe you will one day. Start with a blackboard. What could this be? Classifying mutants, classifying elements, classifying workers, classifying mathematical theories, classifying... Gets heavy.
It'll be abstract and confusing, but it might be a little familiar, but I promise you on Tuesday, shit's gonna get real. Okay? So,
how about my stock model for sectors? And, well, they're groups which all have a Lie algebra. This is where they are right at the moment. This is the speeds and weights and plates when I separate them into that category. Just because something's in $30 doesn't mean that it wasn't just off the scales for a Sherpa's Goat Path M1 comparatively to 45 M2 or anything in the medium of that at a line, beep, or some other standard. T would be a value, XYZ are values, M1, M2, MN, E0, E1, A1, A2, A3, A4, AM.
Okay. And then lastly, with regards to my Monday office hours, I really need...
I don't use them unless I'm talking code to another mathematician or somebody. It's like I'm kind of gauging India, A1, A2, A3, M1, M2. Alright, so now that I know where you're at, I can shoot one through there and we'll get this wiggly squiggly going. Could be your heart rate, or you know that's going to get him going. We're going to exercise that demon here today. He might be a G. Be a play of gravity. It's a depression as much as it is black body radiation. Spectrum 7K, 6K, 5K, 4K, flat line, 98.6 degrees. Commonly in that environment.
Okay, so here we go.
Heart rate increases, performance run does. Well, it's a lot faster when you're dealing with the Lie group. You know, if I'm using gravity as an index to kind of isolate that out from there, it's an algebra. A plus B equals C here. I should do that. When I ask you a question, the result should have been, I'm not looking for it, but that was odd. That was cosine
of theta, and that might have some sort of,
well, theta. Let's realistically think about theta as a person. He worked this symbol real good. He worked this type of group.
The definition of this is,
so the cosine of that is u, calculusly. And Pythagorean theorem, A plus B equals C. But we're terming from angles, not lengths of the line. But that length of a line could be 42, and 42 make 80, 84. That doesn't make this angle right here less than 90. This would actually be 90, 180. And that would kind of correlate to this plus this equal this. What if I gave you a length of this line, this angle, and Bernoulli this house around to find congruency of this object equals to this x, y, and zeta?
Okay? But, and this is a theme today, sometimes we actually get a lot of mileage out of having a more abstract definition of things. So if we
Infinity, sigma sum, n number 1. I need to find positive values, not start points from the company. The end results, not the formation of the floor technique. It's like, what do you mean? Tread line, draw it out. Overhead position at that angle. Say they start here in the process of loading the tread, and then they end here on loading a trend. This is some Pensro stuff. It gets real heavy if you want to get into the note. Twister theory on. He'll be 2021 Nobel Prize. Whoa, it gets heavy.
Let me ask you this question.
Nobel, or Pensro does. Him and Carl Sagan that year, 2020, 2021, something like that. How do I know? That's an interesting question.
This way makes sense, concrete, everything, right? Okay. Now, if I took this definition and I said, okay, fine, what's that? The procedure is obvious, right? You go and you build a right triangle.
Eye of theta.
With an
It's like
interior angle that is imaginary.
windage, projectile motion. Eye of theta. It's heavy right hand rule. Heavy right hand rule. On this drawing of I theta, I'm shooting a 22, 50 cal particle slit experiment with 3 slits for Feynman. That's the I of theta there. Cost of X. All you got is pride. Use it.
Then, not only are we free to use this to evaluate
0.
the cosine when the angle is some real.
Well, like I said, I start in the stone mill and then I do them fun for arbitrarily. This is a field theory on
But it makes just
R,
as much sense.
cos R, cos X, X is Y, Y gets into a bunch of stuff. 1 over, what did he do here? 41?
Squaring and cubing and
4I is what it is. Or 4D, understand.
imaginary numbers is
It's quadrants of 1 plus 1 frames is going to be this. And it seems like this would be 3, but because when I made the first step after this, F1 plus F2, I get X to the squared plus the 4th frame that will end it. X, Y, Z, and T be X plus whatever reality. I'm going to start breaking down on that. What do you mean? There's different speeds, max and averages of me in that position, different people that could be in that position. This chalkboard has a specific one of the brick and dryer conjecture, or brick and sand dryer's conjecture, I think is what it is, where I'm going to throw every single math symbol I can in. The memorization, articulation, verbication, you know, what real physics could this correlate to a cost X? And this blackboard becomes a timed event. An hour is arbitrary, but it's common right-hand rule because if I just do it for 5 minutes, how far would we get? Maybe you get this group or box out of it, you get it, and you can build off of that. Maybe some of you can take the majority of it and go in the stone mill or McDonald's terminal position or bar at the bar. And it's like, this angle, that X.
That's what we're going to do today. We're going to start with something very concrete.
Catch you on the next one, brother.
And
Give you a
by
like here.
looking at it in more